प्रविष्टं विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्रीमद् श्रील भक्तिवेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टं विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्रीमद् श्रील भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टं विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्रीमद् श्रील भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टं विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्रीमद् श्रील भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टं विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्रीमद् श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्रील गोरक्षरदास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्रील भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्रील जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। श्री रूप गौरिया गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम अचय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल कोरमंडल ब्रजमंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विराट गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंज श्यामा कुंज मनोगंग तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणीति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिषे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तरभक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तम् अनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरह कातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्थो भद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रायेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवाय भगवद्गीताश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। तवैवस्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणन्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्ष्य क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितराङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। धन्यवाद। प्रणाम सुरेश्वरी माता जी, प्रजुम्न प्रभु, Mantramurti Mataji, Ganga Didi, Rup Manjari Didi, Dandavat Pranams to all of you. Haribol. So Ganga Didi, I'm guessing everything fully back to normal now in South Africa? Are you fully, like, there's no fear of anything and it's all settled, so you can peacefully go to the markets? And yeah, please give us an update. Okay, so day before yesterday, we read Shiva's prayer to Sankarshan, and then yesterday we read prayer to Hayashirsha, or Hayagriva, the Lord in the form of a horse, by Bhadrashva in Bhadrashva Varsha. And now we're in the middle of reading prayers to Lord Nrsingadev by Prahlad and Hari Varsha. So I'll just read this recap. Okay, so prayer to Hayashirsha by Bhadrashva and Bhadrashva Varsha. In Bhadrashva Varsha, Bhadrashva, the son of Dharmaraj, accompanied by other residents and his servants, worships Lord Hayashirsha, the director of all religious principles. Fixed in the topmost trance, they offer the following prayers. Obeisances to Lord Hayashirsha, who is the reservoir of all religious principles, and who cleanses the heart of the conditioned soul. How astonishing that no one sees death! Alas, how wonderful are the acts of the Lord, that the foolish materialist through those seeing death, does not actually see it. Meditating on sinful acts, he desires to live and enjoy material life, even after burning his dead father or sons. Note: in Bhadrashva and other heavenly varshas, sons always outlive their fathers. Therefore, this description refers to the inhabitants of Bharatvarsha. What to speak of the ignorant not seeing death? Even the wise are bewildered. Your Maya bewilders even learned sages. Learned sages who are advanced in Adhyatma knowledge, spiritual knowledge, see the world as temporary and speak of it as temporary. Yet even they are sometimes bewildered by your wonderful illusory energy. Therefore, I offer my respects unto you. Learned people being bewildered by Maya may imply a fault on the Lord's part by his close association with Maya. This is not the case, for he always remains a non-doer, separate from Maya. Although you are detached and unaffected by creation, maintenance, and annihilation, they are all attributed to you. This is not astonishing. Everything happens because of your inconceivable energy. You are the active principle, though separate from everything. At the end of the millennium, the Vedas were stolen by the demon of ignorance personified. Upon Brahma's request, Hayagriva, whose determination never fails, returned the Vedas to Brahma. So those were the prayers to Hayashirsha, and I showed you the picture yesterday, right? I'll show you again. These are the prayers to Hayashirsha. 1 second. There's not so much light, but anyways, yeah. See, there's Hayashirsha. Okay. Now, prayers to Lord Nrsingadev by Prahlad and Hari Varsha. In Hari Varsha, Lord Nrsingadev is glorified by Prahlad Maharaj, who is the topmost devotee of the Lord, the reservoir of the good qualities of great men, the deliverer of his demoniac family by his character and activities. Along with the residents of Hari Varsha, he worships Lord Nrsinga by chanting the following mantra. Respects to Lord Nrsimha, the source of all power. Please appear in our hearts. You possess nails and teeth like thunderbolts. Kindly vanquish our demoniac desires for fruitive activity and drive away our ignorance. By your mercy, may we become fearless. May there be good fortune for the universe, and may all envious persons be pleased. May all beings meditate by their intelligence on each other's welfare. May the minds become calm by practicing bhakti yoga, and may our minds be absorbed in the Lord without motivation. May we never feel attraction to home, wife, children, friends, bank balance, and relatives. May we have attachment only for your devotees. Satisfaction with the bare necessities of life and a controlled mind help with perfection in bhakti, which sense enjoyment impedes. By association with devotees, one can hear about the Lord whose influence is uncommon. Bathing in the Ganges can purify the heart only after a long time. But hearing about the Lord purifies it very quickly, because he personally enters it in a form of sound vibration. What sane person will not devotees to hear the glorious activities of Lord Mukunda and quickly perfect his life? So now we're reading what verses are we? 12 to 23. This is a very famous verse, very, very famous verse. In Puri, our Vangsi Vadan Prabhu, the temple president, had us all learn this verse. But yeah, you'll see this verse quoted everywhere. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavat kinchana sarvar gunastatra samasate sura harav abhaktasya kuto mahar guna manoretena satidhavato bahi. All the demigods and their exalted qualities, such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation, become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities. Even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? Just curious how they translate it here in a short way. For one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Lord, Yasasti Bhaktir Bhagavata Kinchana, all the demigods and their exalted qualities become manifest in his body. Sarvar Gunastatra Samasate Sura. But how can there be any good qualities in a non-devotee? Harav Abhaktasya Kuto Mahar Guna, who is driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. Manoretena Sati Dhavato Bahi. Manorat. Okay, sorry. So link, is there any greatness in householders who have scriptural knowledge and good family, but are devoid of bhakti? And there's no greatness in one who gives up hari. Okay. Anyways, let's see the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As explained in the next verse, Krishna is the original source of all living entities. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15.7, wherein Krishna says, Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasangstanindriyani Prakritir Stanikarshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. All living entities are part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore, when they receive the original Krishna consciousness, they possess all the good qualities of Krishna in a small quantity. When one engages himself in the 9 processes of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam, one's heart becomes purified, and he immediately understands his relationship with Krishna. He then revives his original quality of Krishna consciousness. In the Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 8, there is a description of some of the qualities of devotees. For example, Pandit Haridas is described as being very well behaved, tolerant, peaceful, magnanimous, and grave. In addition, he spoke very sweetly. His endeavors were very pleasing. He was always patient. He respected everyone. He always worked for everyone's benefit. His mind was free of duplicity, and he was completely devoid of all malicious activities. These are all originally qualities of Krishna, and when one becomes a devotee, they automatically become manifest. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, says that all good qualities become manifest in the body of a Vaishnava, and that only by the presence of these good qualities can one distinguish a Vaishnava from a non-Vaishnava. Krishnadas Kaviraj lists the following 26 qualities of a Vaishnava. 1. He is very kind to everyone. 2. He does not make anyone his enemy. 3. He is truthful. 4. He is equal to everyone. 5. No one can find any fault in him. 6. He is magnanimous. 7. He is mild. 8. He is always clean. 9. He is without possessions. 10. He works for everyone's benefit. 11. He is very peaceful. 12. He is always surrendered to Krishna. This is the main one. Krishnaika Sharan. 13. He has no material desires. 14. He is very meek. 15. He is steady. 16. He controls his senses. 17. He does not eat more than required. 18. He is not influenced by the Lord's illusory energy. 19. He offers respect to everyone. 20. He does not desire any respect for himself. 21. He is very grave. 22. He is merciful. 23. He is friendly. 24. He is poetic. 25. He is expert. And 26. He is silent. Okay. Harir hi shakshar bhagavan sharirinam atma jashanam ivato yamipsitam hitva mahangstang yadi sajjate grihe tada mahatvam vayasa. Oh my God, I just got a yawn. Dampatinam. Just as aquatics always desire to remain in the vast mass of water, all conditioned living entities may naturally desire to remain in the vast existence of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, if someone very great by material calculations fails to take the shelter of the Supreme Soul, but instead becomes attached to material household life, his greatness is just like that of a young low-class couple. One who is too attached to material life loses all good spiritual qualities. Purport. Although crocodiles are very fierce animals, they are powerless when they venture out of the water onto land. When they are out of water, they cannot exhibit their original power. Similarly, the all-pervading Supersoul, Paramatma, is the source of all living entities, and all living entities are part and parcel of him. When the living entity remains in contact with the all-pervading Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead, he manifests his spiritual power, exactly as the crocodile exhibits its strength in the water. In other words, the greatness of the living entity can be perceived when he is in the spiritual world, engaged in spiritual activities. Many householders, although well educated in the knowledge of the Vedas, become attached to family life. They are compared herein to crocodiles out of water, for they are devoid of all spiritual strength. Their greatness is like that of a young husband and wife, who, though uneducated, praise one another and become attracted to their own temporary beauty. This kind of greatness is appreciated only by low-class men with no qualifications. Everyone should therefore seek the shelter of the Supreme Soul, the source of all living entities. No one should waste his time in the so-called happiness of materialistic household life. In the Vedic civilization, this type of crippled life is allowed only until one's 50th year, when one must give up family life and enter either the order of Vanaprastha, independent retired life for the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, or sannyas, the renounced order in which one completely takes shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tasmad rajo raga visharamanyo manaspriha bhaya danyadimulam hitva griham sangsriti chakravalam nrisinghapadam bhajata kuto bhayam iti. Therefore, O demons, give up the so-called happiness of family life and simply take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Nrsingadev, which are the actual shelter of fearlessness. Entanglement in family life is the root cause of material attachment, indefatigable desires, moroseness, anger, despair, fear, and the desire for false prestige, all of which result in the repetition of birth and death. Entanglement in family life is the root cause of all those things. Ketumale pi Bhagavan Kamadeva Sarupena Lakshma Priya Chikirshaya Prajapater Duhitrinam Putranam Tarvarsha Patinam Purushayushaho Ratra Parisankyananam Yasam Garbha Mahapurusha Mahastra Tejaso Dvejita Manasam Vidvasta Vyasava Sangvatsarante Vinipatanti. Fall down. Okay, so that was Prahlad Maharaj's prayer to Nrsingadev. Now we're beginning, Lakshmi Devi's prayer to Kamadev in Ketumala Varsha. Shukadeva Goswami continued, in the tract of land called Ketumala Varsha, Lord Vishnu lives in the form of Kamadev, only for the satisfaction of his devotees. These include Lakshmiji, the goddess fortune, the Prajapati Sangvatsara, and all of Sangvatsara's sons and daughters. The daughters of Prajapati are considered the controlling deities of the nights, and his sons are considered the controllers of the days. The Prajapati's offspring number 36,000, one for each day and each night in the lifetime of a human being. At the end of each year, the Prajapati's daughters become very agitated upon seeing the extremely effulgent disk of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus they all suffer miscarriages. Okay. Purport. Let's find out more about this. This Kamadev, who appears as Krishna's son named Pradyumna, is Vishnu Tattva. How this is so is explained by Madhvacharya, who quotes from the Brahmanda Puran, Kamadeva Stitam Vishnu Upasate. Although this Kamadev is Vishnu Tattva, his body is not spiritual but material. Lord Vishnu is Pradyumna or Kamadev, accepts a material body, but he still acts spiritually. It does not make any difference whether he accepts a spiritual or material body. He can act spiritually in any condition of existence. Mayavadi philosophers regard even Lord Krishna's body as material, but their opinions cannot impede the spiritual activity of the Lord. Okay, let's read the note here, because there wasn't an explanation in the purport here. So, at the end of each year, his daughters become agitated by the Lord's Kala Chakra, and their fetuses are aborted. Note, The fetuses refer to time and its minutes and seconds, or it refers to the results of the prarabdha karma of the inhabitants enjoying in that land. Because the nights act as the cause of enjoyment of karmas, of fruitive activities, they are called fetuses of the daughters. Because the night act as cause of enjoyment of karma. Okay. At the end of gross time, in the form of a year, with the end of enjoyment, they are aborted. Okay, that makes more sense now. Means time's up. It's the end of enjoyment. Okay. Ativa sulalita gati vilasita ruchira hasa lesha valoka lilaya kinchid uttam bhita sundara bhru mandala subhaga vadanaaravinda shriya ramang ramayan indriyani ramayate. In Ketumala Varsha, Lord Kamadev, Pradyumna, moves very graciously. His mild smile is very beautiful, and when he increases the beauty of his face by slightly raising his eyebrows and glancing playfully, he pleases the goddess of fortune. Thus he enjoys his transcendental senses. Tad Bhagavato mayam rupam parama samadhi yogena Rama Devi samvatsarasya ratrishu prajapater duhitribir upetahasu chatar bhartribir upaste idam chodaharati. Accompanied during the daytime by the sons of Prajapati, the predominating deities of the days, and accompanied at nights by his daughters, the deities of the nights, Lakshmi Devi worships the Lord during the period known as Samvatsara and his most merciful form as Kamadev. Fully absorbed in devotional service, she chants the following mantras. Purport. The word mayam used in this verse should not be understood according to the interpretations of the Mayavadis. Maya means affection as well as illusion. When a mother deals with her child affectionately, she is called Mayamaya. In whatever form the Supreme Lord Vishnu appears, he is always affectionate towards his devotees. Thus the word Mayamayam is used here to mean very affectionate toward the devotees. Srila Jiva Goswami writes in this regard that Mayamayam can also refer to Kripa Prachuram, deeply merciful. Similarly, Srila Vira Raghav says, Maya Prachuranat Miya Sankalpena Parigrihitam Itartha Jnana Paryayotra Maya Shabda. When one is very affectionate due to an intimate relationship, one is described as Maya Maya. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains Maya Mayam. He explains Maya Mayam by dividing it into the words Maya and Amayam. He explains these words to indicate that because the living entity is covered by the disease of illusion, the Lord is always eager to deliver his devotee from the clutches of Maya and cure him of the disease caused by the illusory energy. Okay, so here are Lakshmi Devi's prayers to Kamadev, Cupid, transcendental Cupid. Om Hrang, okay. Om Hrang Hrim Rum. Om Namo Bhagavate Hrishikeshaya Sarva Guna Visheshar Vilakshitatmane Akutinam Chittanam Chetasam Visheshanam Chadipataye Shodasha Kalaya Chando Mayayamrita Mayaya Sarva Mayaya Sahase Ojase Balaya Kantaya Kamaya Namaste Ubhayatra Bhuyat. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hrishikesh, the controller of all my senses and the origin of everything. As the supreme master of all bodily, mental, and intellectual activities, he is the only enjoyer of their results. The 5 sense objects and 11 senses, including the mind, are his partial manifestations. He supplies all the necessities of life, which are his energy and thus none different from him. And he is the cause of everyone's bodily and mental prowess, which is also none different from him. Indeed, he is the husband and provider of necessities for all living entities. The purpose of all the Vedas is to worship him. Therefore, let us all offer him our respectful obeisances. May he always be favorable toward us in this life and the next. Purport. In this verse, the word Mayamai is further explained in regard to how the Lord expands his mercy in different ways. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. The energies of the Supreme Lord are understood in different ways. In this verse, he is described as the original source of everything, even our body, senses, mind, activities, prowess, bodily strength, mental strength, and determination for securing the necessities of life. Indeed, the Lord's energies can be perceived in everything, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 7:8, Rasoham apsukonteya. The taste of water is also Krishna. Krishna is the active principle of everything we need for our maintenance. This verse, offering respectful obeisances unto the Lord, was composed by Rama, the goddess of fortune, and is full of spiritual power. Under the guidance of a spiritual master, everyone should chant this mantra and thus become a complete and perfect devotee of the Lord. One may chant this mantra for complete liberation from material bondage, and after liberation, one may continue to chant it while worshipping the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha Loka. All mantras, of course, are meant for this life and the next, as Krishna himself confirms in Bhagavad Gita 9:14. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha drida vrata namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, the great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. A devotee who, both in this life and the next, chants the Mahamantra or any mantra is called Nitya Yukta Upasak. Striyo vartaistva hrishikeshwaram svato hyaradaloke patema ashasatemnyam tasam nate vai paripantapatyam priyam dhanayungshi tato yato svatantra. My dear Lord, you are certainly the fully independent master of all the senses. Therefore, all women who worship you by strictly observing vows because they wish to acquire a husband to satisfy their senses are surely under illusion. They do not know that such a husband cannot actually give protection to them or their children, nor can he protect their wealth or duration of life, for he himself is dependent on time, fruit of activities, and the modes of nature, which are all subordinate to you. Purport. In this verse, Lakshmi Devi, Rama, shows compassion towards women who worship the Lord for the benediction of possessing a good husband. Although such women desire to be happy with children, wealth, a long duration of life, and everything dear to them, they cannot possibly do so. In the material world, a so-called husband is dependent on the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many examples of a woman whose husband, being dependent on the result of his own fruitive actions, cannot maintain his wife, her children, her wealth, or her duration of life. Therefore, factually, the only real husband of all women is Krishna, the Supreme Husband. Because the gopis were liberated souls, they understood this fact. Therefore, they rejected their material husbands and accepted Krishna as their real husband. Krishna is the real husband not only of the gopis, but of every living entity. Everyone should perfectly understand that Krishna is the real husband of all living entities, who are described in the Bhagavad Gita as Prakriti, female, not Purush, male. In Bhagavad Gita 10:12, only Krishna is addressed as Purusha. Parang Brahma Param Dhama Pavitrang Paramang Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Devyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. You are the supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the supreme abode and purifier, the absolute truth, and the eternal divine person. You are the primal God, transcendental and original, and you are the unborn and all-pervading beauty. Krishna is the original Purusha, and the living entities are Prakriti. Thus, Krishna is the enjoyer, and all living entities are meant to be enjoyed by him. Therefore, any woman who seeks a material husband for her protection, or any man who desires to become the husband of a woman, is under illusion. To become a husband means to maintain a wife and children nicely by supplying wealth and security. However, a material husband cannot possibly do this, for he is dependent on his karma. Karmana daiva netrena. His circumstances are determined by his past fruitive activities. Therefore, if one proudly thinks he can protect his wife, he is under illusion. Krishna is the only husband, and therefore the relationship between a husband and wife in this material world cannot be absolute. Because we have the desire to marry, Krishna mercifully allows the so-called husband to possess a wife, and the wife to possess a so-called husband, for mutual satisfaction. In the Ishopanishad it is said, Tena taktena bhunjita. The Lord provides everyone with his quota. Actually, however, every living entity is Prakriti, or female, and Krishna is the only husband. Ekale Ishvara Krishna Arasava Bhrita, Jare Jaiche Nachai, She Chaiche Kore Nritya. Krishna is the original master or husband of everyone, and all other living entities, having taken the form of so-called husbands or wives, are dancing according to his desire. A so-called husband may unite with his wife for sense gratification, but his senses are conducted by Hrishikesh, the master of the senses, who is therefore the actual husband. Savai patisyar akuto bhaya swayam samantata pati bhayanturam janam sa eka eve tarata mito bhayam naivatmala bhad adimanyate param. He alone who is never afraid, but who, on the contrary, gives complete shelter to all fearful persons, can actually become a husband and protector. Therefore, my Lord, you are the only husband, and no one else can claim this position. If you were not the only husband, you would be afraid of others. Therefore, persons learned in all Vedic literature accept only your lordship as everyone's master, and they think no one else a better husband and protector than you. Purport. Here, the meaning of husband or guardian is clearly explained. People want to become a husband, a guardian, a governor, or a political leader without knowing the actual meaning of such a superior position. There are many people all over the world, indeed throughout the universe, who claim for some time that they are husbands, political leaders, or guardians. But in due course of time, the Supreme Lord desires their removal from their posts, and their careers are immediately finished. Therefore, those who are actually learned and advanced in spiritual life do not accept any leader, husband, or maintainer other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna personally states in Bhagavad Gita 18:66, Aham tung sarva papebhyo mokshayishami. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Krishna is not afraid of anyone. On the contrary, everyone is afraid of Krishna. Therefore, he can actually give protection to a subordinate living entity. Since so-called leaders or dictators are completely under the control of material nature, they can never give complete protection to others, although they claim this ability due to false prestige. Na te vidhu swarta gatim hi Vishnum. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.531. People do not know that real advancement in life consists of accepting the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one's master. Instead of deceiving themselves and others by pretending to be all-powerful, all political leaders, husbands, and guardians should spread the Krishna consciousness movement so that everyone can learn how to surrender to Krishna, the Supreme Husband. Yatasate pada saroruharanam harhanam nikamayetsa kilakamalam pata tare varu rasip sitam ipsitor chito yad bhagna yachna bhagavan pratapyate. My dear Lord, you automatically fulfill all the desires of a woman who worships your lotus feet in pure love. However, if a woman worships your lotus feet for a particular purpose, you also quickly fulfill her desires. But in the end, she becomes broken-hearted and laments. Therefore, one need not worship your lotus feet for some material benefit. Purport. This is a long purport. Srila Rupa Goswami describes pure devotional service as Anyabilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadhyanavratam. One should not worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead to fulfill some material desire for success and fruitive activities or mental speculation. To serve the lotus feet of the Lord means to serve Him exactly as He desires. The neophyte devotee is therefore offered to worship the Lord strictly according to the regulative principles given by the spiritual master and the Shastras. By executing devotional service in that way, he gradually becomes attached to Krishna, and when his original dormant love for the Lord becomes manifest, he spontaneously serves the Lord without any motive. This condition is the perfect stage of one's relationship with the Lord. The Lord then looks after the comfort and security of his devotee without being asked. Krishna promises in Bhagavad Gita 9.22, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paripashate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. The Supreme Lord personally takes care of anyone who is completely engaged in his devotional service. Whatever he has, the Lord protects, and whatever he needs, the Lord supplies. Therefore, why should one bother the Lord for something material? Such prayers are unnecessary. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that even if a devotee wishes the Lord to fulfill a particular desire, the devotee should not be considered a Sakham Bhakta, a devotee with some motive. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.16, Krishna says, Chatur vida bhajante mam jana sukritinor artha jigyasur artharti jnani cha paratar shabha. O best among the Bharatas, Arjuna, 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. The Artha and the Artharthi, who approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead for relief from misery or for some money, are not Sakham Bhaktas, although they appear to be. Being neophyte devotees, they are simply ignorant. Later in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Uddhara sarva evaite. They are all magnanimous, Uddhara. Although in the beginning a devotee may harbor some desire, in due course of time it will vanish. Therefore the Srimad Bhagavatam enjoins, Akama sarvakamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. A person has broader intelligence, whether he is full of all material desire, is free from material desire, or has a desire for liberation. That person who has broader intelligence must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. Sorry, guys. Even if one wants something material, he should pray to no one but the Lord to fulfill his desire. If one approaches a demigod for the fulfillment of his desires, he is to be considered nashta buddhi, bereft of all good sense. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.20, Kamaistaster hirta jnana prapadyante nyadevata tang tam niyamamastaya prakritya niyata swaya. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto the demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Lakshmi Devi advises all devotees who approach the Lord with material desires that according to her practical experience, the Lord is Kamadev, and thus there is no need to ask him for anything material. Oh yeah, because Kam also means desire, right? She says that everyone should simply serve the Lord without any motive. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is sitting in everyone's heart, he knows everyone's thoughts, and in due course of time, he will fulfill all desires. Therefore, let us completely depend on the service of the Lord without bothering him with our material requests. Matpraptaye jesha sura suradayas tapyanta ugram tapa indriye diya rite bhavat pada parayanang namang vindantaham tvad dhridaya yato jita. O Supreme Unconquerable Lord. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. O Supreme Unconquerable Lord, when they become absorbed in thoughts of material enjoyment, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, as well as other demigods and demons, undergo severe penances and austerities to receive my benedictions. But I do not favor anyone, however great he may be, unless he is always engaged in the service of your lotus feet. Because I always keep you within my heart, I cannot favor anyone but a devotee. Purport. In this verse, the goddess of fortune Lakshmi Devi clearly states that she does not bestow her favor on any materialistic person. Although sometimes a materialist becomes very opulent in the eyes of another materialist, such opulence is bestowed upon him by the goddess Durga Devi, a material expansion of the goddess of fortune, not by Lakshmi Devi herself. Those who desire material wealth worship Durga Devi with the following mantra: Dhanam dehi rupa pati bhajam dehi. O worshipable Mother Durga Devi, please give me wealth, strength, fame, a good wife, and so on. By pleasing Goddess Durga, one can obtain such benefits, but since they are temporary, they result only in Maya Sukha, illusory happiness. As stated by Prahlad Maharaj, Maya Sukhaya Bharam Udvahato Vimudam. Those who work very hard for material benefits are vimudas, foolish rascals, because such happiness will not endure. On the other hand, devotees like Prahlad and Dhruva Maharaj achieved extraordinary material opulences. But such opulences were not Maya Sukha. When a devotee acquires unparalleled opulences, they are the direct gifts of the goddess of fortune, who resides in the heart of Narayan. The material opulences a person obtains by offering prayers to the goddess Durga are temporary, as described in Bhagavad Gita 7.23. Antavattu balam tesham tadbhavat delpa medasam. Men of meager intelligence desire temporary happiness. We have actually seen that one of the disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to enjoy the property of his spiritual master, and the spiritual master, being merciful toward him, gave him the temporary property, but not the power to preach the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. That special mercy of the power to preach is given to a devotee who does not want anything material from his spiritual master, but wants only to serve him. The story of the demon Ravan illustrates this point. Although Ravan tried to abduct the goddess of fortune Sita Devi from the custody of Lord Ramachandra, he could not possibly do so. The Sita Devi he forcibly took with him was not the original Sita Devi, but an expansion of Maya, or Durga Devi. As a result, instead of winning the favor of the real goddess of fortune, Ravan and his whole family were vanquished by the power of Durga Devi. Shrishti Stiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha. Brahma Samhita verse 44. Alright, I think we're ending with this verse, right? Yes, we are. Long purport. Okay. Satvamamapyochuta shishnivanditam karambujam yatvad adhayi sattvatam vivarshimam lakshma varenyamaya ka ishvarasye hitam uhitum vibhuriti. O infallible one, your lotus palm is a source of all benediction. Therefore, your pure devotees worship it, and you very mercifully place your hands on their heads. I wish that you may also place your hands on my head, for although you already bear my insignia of golden streaks on your chest, I regard this honor as merely a kind of false prestige for me. You show your real mercy to your devotees. You show your real mercy to your devotees, not to me. Of course, you are the supreme absolute controller, and no one can understand your motives. I guess insignia means signs. Insignia. A distinguishing badge or emblem of military rank, office, or membership of an organization. A sign or token of something. All right. Purport. In many places, the Shastras describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead as being more inclined toward his devotees than toward his wife, who always remains on his chest. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-15, it is stated, Natata me priyatama atmayonir nashankara na cha sankarshano nashrir naivatma chayata bhavan. Here, Krishna plainly says that his devotees are more dear to him than Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Sankarshan, the original cause of creation, the goddess of fortune, or even his own self. Elsewhere in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.9.20, Shukadev Goswami says, Ne mam virincho na bhavo nashir apyanga sangshaya prasadam le bhire gopi yat tat prapa vimuktitat. The Supreme Lord who can award liberation to anyone showed more mercy toward the gopis than to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, or even the goddess of fortune, who is his own wife and is associated with his body. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:47-60 also states, Nayam Shriyonga Unitantarate Prasada Swaryo Shitam Nalina Gandha Rucham Kutonya Rasotsavesya Bhujadanda Grihita Kanta Labda Shisham Yaudagad Brajasundarinam. The gopis received benedictions from the Lord that neither Lakshmi Devi nor the most beautiful dancers in the heavenly planets could attain. In the Rasa dance, the Lord showed his favor to the most fortunate gopis by placing his arms on their shoulders and dancing with each of them individually. No one can compare with the gopis who received the causeless mercy of the Lord. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that no one can receive the real favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without following in the footsteps of the gopis. Even the goddess of fortune could not receive the same favor as the gopis, although she underwent severe austerities and penances for many years. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discusses this point with Venkatabhatta in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 9, 111-131. The Lord inquired from Venkatabhatta,
Your worshipable goddess of fortune Lakshmi always remains in the chest of Narayan, and she is certainly the most chaste woman in the creation. However, my lord is Lord Shri Krishna, a cowherd boy engaged in tending cows. Why is it that Lakshmi, being such a chaste wife, wants to associate with my lord? Just to associate with Krishna, Lakshmi abandoned all transcendental happiness in Vaikuntha and for a long time accepted vows and regulated principles and performed unlimited austerities. Venkatabhatta replied, Lord Krishna and Lord Narayan are one and the same, but the pastimes of Krishna are more relishable due to their sportive nature. They are very pleasing for Krishna's Shaktis. Since Krishna and Narayan are both the same personality, Lakshmi's association with Krishna did not break her vow of chastity. Rather, it was in great fun that the goddess of fortune wanted to associate with Lord Krishna. The goddess of fortune considered that her vow of chastity would not be damaged by her relationship with Krishna. Rather, by associating with Krishna, she could enjoy the benefits of the rasa dance. If she wanted to enjoy herself with Krishna, what fault is there? Why are you joking so about this? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, I know that there is no fault in the goddess of fortune, but still she could not enter into the rasa dance. We hear this from revealed scriptures. The authorities of Vedic knowledge met Lord Ramachandra in Dandakaranya, and by their penances and austerities, they were allowed to enter into the rasa dance. But can you tell me why the goddess of fortune Lakshmi could not get that opportunity? To this Venkatabhatta replied, I cannot enter into the mystery of this incident. I am an ordinary living being. My intelligence is limited, and I am always disturbed. How can I understand the pastimes of the Supreme Lord? They are deeper than millions of oceans. Lord Chaitanya replied, Lord Krishna has a specific characteristic. He attracts everyone's heart by the mellow of his personal conjugal love. By following in the footsteps of the inhabitants of the planet known as Vrajaloka or Goloka Vrindavan, one can attain the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. However, the inhabitants of that planet do not know that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unaware that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, the residents of Vrindavan, like Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Devi, and the gopis, treat Krishna as their beloved son or lover. Mother Yashoda accepts him as her son and sometimes binds him to a grinding mortar. Krishna's cowherd boyfriends think he is an ordinary boy and get up on his shoulders. In Goloka Vrindavan, no one has any desire other than to love Krishna. The conclusion is that one cannot associate with Krishna unless he has fully received the favor of the inhabitants of Vrajabhumi. Therefore, if one wants to be delivered by Krishna directly, he must take to the service of the residents of Vrindavan, who are unalloyed devotees of the Lord. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. All right, so tomorrow, what are we reading tomorrow? Let me just see. We're going to be going through verses 24 to 39. What's verses 24 to 39? Okay, so we're going to finish off this chapter tomorrow and read the prayers to Matsya by Vaivasvata Manu, the prayers to Kurma by Aryama, and the prayers to Varahadev by Bhumi. That will all be tomorrow. Hare, yes, very true. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nikhil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Shila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shila Gurudev Ki Jai Nikhil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Shila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nikhil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nikhil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Shila Bhakti spaced out. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nikhil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada Ki Jai Nikhil Pravishta Mahabhagavat Srila Gokshadas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nikhil Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nikhil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadashaganath Sharda Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanantari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai Naam Achar Shri Ras Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishta Pradati Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund Ki Jai Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Sattvatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Dandavat Pranams. I just realized these streams are not going live on Facebook anymore. I think it's been like that for a long time now. Anyways, I'm gonna have to look into that, try to fix that. Yeah, I've only been going live on YouTube. Anyhow, all right. Yeah, Prajana, just look up on the you can look up on the purebhakti.com calendar and see for your city, because yeah, even places that are nearby can have a Kadashi on different days, so you always have to find for your particular location. Haribol, Dandavat Pranams.